Welcome, I am György Kovács, and in this short video I will talk about inference. First, to give you a brief overview, I will start by giving some motivation about why we learn about this. Then I will discuss some rules of inference including implication, converse, contrapositive, and inverse. Lastly, I will compare two ways of reasoning that we use not only in machine learning but in real life as well, deductive and inductive reasoning. So let us begin. As you may know, an intelligent agent needs three things: knowledge about the real world, capacity for reasoning, and ways to act. Inference covers the second, the capacity for reasoning. So by implementing inference, we give the intelligent agent capacity for reasoning. There are different rules of inference we can use. One is implication, the connection which can be represented as if P then Q. For example, if P is it rains and Q is the grass is wet, then if P then Q means that if it rains, the grass is wet. So then we see from this decision tree that if it rains and it's yes, it is true that it rains, then the grass is wet. The question can be then, what happens if it does not rain? And the answer is that we don't know. From the truth table of if P then Q, we can see that if P is Q, then Q also has to be true for if P then Q to be true. On the other hand, if P is false, then if P then Q will be true anyway, regardless of the truth value of Q. Another rule of inference is converse. Here the atoms of the two sides switch places. So if Q then P, for example, if it rains, if the grass is wet, it rains. Now one question could be, what happens if both are true? Then we get to the if and only if relation. The grass is wet if and only if it rains. The third rule to discuss is contrapositive. This is the element-wise negation of the converse represented not Q, arrow, not P, meaning if not Q, then not P. For example, if the grass is not wet, then it does not rain. One could ask now what the difference between implication and contrapositive is. And the answer is that they are exactly the same, as you can see based on the truth table. So if the implication is true, that means that the contrapositive will also be true. The last rule of inference to discuss is the inverse. Here we take the element-wise negation of implication represented as not P, arrow, not Q. If not P, then not Q. For example, if it does not rain, the grass is not wet. Well, the question now is, what happens if it does rain? And the answer is, again, we don't know. This is very similar to how we did not know what happens if it does not rain in inference. Moving on to reasoning, specifically deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is when new information is derived logically from related known information. For example, humans need water to survive. I am a human. The conclusion, I need water to survive. Here we go from theory, hypothesis, and patterns and confirmation. Sherlock Holmes, for example, is very famous for using deductive reasoning. But is it really what he's using? This is something for you to consider. For this, we first have to learn about inductive reasoning. Here we draw our conclusions using a limited set of facts. For example, if all shapes I have seen are white, I may expect that all shapes would be white. So here I go from the observation, I see the pattern, I draw a hypothesis, and I arrive at a theory that all shapes are white, which is in fact false because there are black shapes. Another example of inductive reasoning is predicting the next number in the series. For example, when we see the first 5 numbers like so, we may think that this is the Fibonacci series, but there may be other explanations as well. For a more systematic comparison of deductive and inductive reasoning, please see this table. As we have seen earlier, in deductive reasoning we start from the premises, while in inductive reasoning we start from the conclusions. Another difference is that in deductive reasoning the arguments are either valid or invalid, but in inductive reasoning, the arguments are weak or strong. With this, our journey, and with this, the video about reasoning in AI ends. Thank you for your attention.